Hello, Breaking Brown family. Hello, YourBlackWorld.net family. And I really just want to take a moment. I have to apologize, you guys. I'm kind of under the weather, but I could not say anything about this whole Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders contest is well underway right now. And the one thing I want to talk about right now is a comment made by civil rights icon, Representative John Lewis. And I don't want to make any light of anything that he's achieved. I just want to question, how long can you rest on your laurels? How long can you rest on something that happened 50 years ago? It doesn't mean that that's not important. It doesn't mean that doesn't lay the groundwork for who we are and where we are today in terms of the importance of that movement. But I saw Representative John Lewis say something today that just made me think that he needs to be dismissed totally as a political player. And he said something about Bernie Sanders. He said, the Congressional Black Caucus has come out and they're putting all of their eggs in the basket of Hillary Clinton. And that's kind of understandable. I'm sure the Clintons have done a number of favors for the Congressional Black Caucus. And now Hillary Clinton is calling in all of her favors. If I ever did anything for you, if I ever called a school, if I ever came out to campaign, if we ever wrote you a check, we're calling in that favor right now, Negro, right now. So I understand what's going on. But he said, John Lewis said something that's so reprehensible, so disgusting to me, in the sense of, and how he tried to claim ownership of the civil rights movement. This man said of Bernie Sanders, I never saw him. I marched at Selma. I was out there and I never saw him. I never spoke with him. So in order to lead us to the conclusion that if you never saw Bernie Sanders out there, he must not have been there. I mean, there were thousands of people out here doing this work, marching or whatever. There's a picture I saw of Bernie Sanders in the same March of King or whatever. And it is so despicable of him to say, well, I didn't see him and I saw Hillary Clinton. I saw Bill Clinton. Well, Hillary Clinton was a Goldwater girl during that time. She was a Republican. So I don't know how you saw her or where you saw her, but Hillary Clinton was a Republican. So you're gonna down the guy who actually was, involved in the civil rights movement on behalf of Hillary Clinton, who was a Goldwater girl, who was a Republican. Is that what you're doing, John Lewis? Is that what you become? Is that how low you've fallen? Now, I'm not saying that John Lewis couldn't endorse Hillary Clinton if he wants to. You can endorse the woman and say, hey, you can lie and say she's been beneficial to black people, and we know that ain't true. But you can lie about that and say this woman has done some good stuff. Really, what you mean is some good stuff for me, in terms of helping black elected officials, in terms of appointing some black elected officials of the misleadership class to her cabinet. I'm sure she has done some things on that level. So if you want to support her, support her. But don't try to act like you were everywhere. You were some type of omnipresent, omniscient God during the civil rights movement, that you were everywhere. You don't know who was where and who was doing what. Like, that's not your role. And you're going to talk about that and not talk about the fact that Hillary is a former Republican. I mean, dude, like we know now that obviously John Lewis knows on what side his biscuit is buttered. And I mean that sincerely. You don't have to, even if you're going to fight for the scraps off Master's table, you don't have to fight that hard. You don't have to go that hard. It didn't call for all that. So, I mean, the thing that really kind of blows my mind is like I said, not just that he went with Hillary, but the way he went with Hillary, like the way like these people can get us to become like pit bulls for them. Not just I endorse you, I show up and I shake your hand. No, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to say that Bernie wasn't even there. I mean, I know they got a picture of him at the march, but I'm going to say that dude, he wasn't even around, Miss Hillary. So I think that is the problem for me. And I saw Congressman Jeffries come out and say, Hillary Clinton or the Clintons have been a friend to black people. And honestly, I don't think there's any question at this point, when you look back at the record, that Hillary Clinton has not been a friend to black people. We're not just talking about mass incarceration. We're not just talking about welfare. We're not just talking about deregulation. I mean, you can actually plot the ways in which this Clinton family, this duo, has gutted and devastated the black community. You can actually, draw a line from the evaporation of black wealth in the black community back to the deregulation of the Clinton years. You can draw a line to welfare and how you have black people now falling below the cracks and can't find their way back up, because people who are born poor usually die poor. That whole rise to the top stuff is just crap. People teach you about American meritocracy and American exceptionalism. It's BS. It doesn't mean anything. It's just propaganda. So, I think I would be hard pressed to find in recent memory another president who's been quite as damaging. I mean, Reagan got there. Reagan got real close, but Clinton is there, and you have to remember that Clinton is the guy he's the guy who actually decided that the Democratic Party should move to the right. We have a Democratic Party now that is mimicking the Republican Party. The only difference most of the time is rhetoric. And you have to remember that it was Bill Clinton who championed the DLC centrist center-right policies and drove this huge wedge between, this huge wedge between black people, minorities, everyone else, and white people. It's the funniest thing is that Hillary Clinton is the same person who bragged during 2008 campaign about having the support of white working class people, and now she's depending on black people to be her firewall. And the sad part about it is, a lot of us really are her firewall. I saw a bunch of stars come out on to support her in South Carolina. You have pastors now. Negroes are getting in line, and I hope that I haven't come down in favor of any candidate, but I think this division is good. Dude, nobody's gonna just keep going along because you tell us, because the old guard tells us that's what we're supposed to do. No, these people haven't benefited us. Hillary Clinton, the woman who was standing beside Bill Clinton when he signed the Welfare Act, admitted before she died that it was the wrong move, that working didn't help her. She worked at a job where she made a little bit of money, and even if after she made a little bit of money, she still couldn't afford her medicine. Clinton used her, just like he used black people, just like Hillary Clinton is using black people now. No, I can't say what's in store for Bernie Sanders, but I think in terms of myself, I'm kind of tired of being used. And I think, that's the division between me and John Lewis. I'm kind of tired of black people being used. He's okay with being used as long as somebody butters that biscuit. So I think, that's the question that we have to answer. Are we going to have a voice? Are we going to have a seat at the table? Or are we just going to let people call in favors and just let these people tell us who's going to be next? The Congressional Black Caucus isn't going to tell me who I may or may not vote for. The celebrities, black celebrities, aren't going to tell me who to vote for. Or who not to vote for, so these people I think we have to get to a point where these people have no control, because they have their own allegiances. They have their own alliances. That has nothing to do with us, the voters, and we should make our own decisions. That's my point. So let me know what you think in the comments.